an old friend of ours, Lupe Fiasco.
Lupin the
Been,
Third.
I mean, for Lupe, it's been 2 years since we last really heard from him, right? When we reviewed Drogas Light in 20, oh, I guess no, Drogas Wave, sorry, in 2018. Drogas
2018.
Light was
One of them.
2017. And, that was Lupe's very long and expansive and thought-provoking, maybe a little difficult to access at points, album about slaves that fell off a slave ship, and then were stopping other slave ships or helping to sink other slave ships to stop them from their fate at that point. We liked it, and I think we are always blown away by Lupe's technical ability. He's always solid. I think even if the output isn't always fun to listen to or catching and something we want to go back to, it's undeniable that Lupe is a great rapper. Would you put him in your top 10 though, Dave? Probably. Check out Dave's Twitter for his thoughts on that at Martin Swagger.
Hip hop by numbers, man. He's doing it for engagement, I know,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It's hilarious sometimes. But yeah, the last album, Stack That Cheese, amazing song, sequel song to Hip Hop Saved My Life, one of his most famous songs. And I think that was a really great album to hear because it was kind of a return to like Lupe more or less hitting on some of his really wide-eyed conceptual things he's tackled. And, I also like Tetsu and Youth from 2015. I think Mural's one of his best songs ever. So in general, I think the last part of the decade was a pretty good one for Lupe, all things considered, because, he's still a guy who is not afraid to speak his mind on social media and stuff and is more or less not in the rap establishment, hasn't been for some time. So he's always kind of an interesting figure as far as like, older heads go. And now we have this really slight new EP that kind of came without much fanfare and definitely a change of pace, let's say.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you feel like that strong end of the decade rolls into the new decade on the same high for Lupe with House, this 5-song EP?
Yeah, I don't think this EP is special at all, but I enjoyed listening to it. I think there's some weird choices involving it, mainly around Off-White virtuoso Virgil Abloh having multiple spoken word sections on a 20-minute EP. But yeah, I mean, this is cool because Lupe's just kind of freewheeling on these songs where he's actually rapping and it's not the spoken word segments, and it's kind of refreshing because he's always going to be good at that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I think it's the song Shoes. It might be Sledum. I'm getting them mixed up in my brain at the moment. But one of them, he really like rides over these like keys, really like his voice kind of like melds into it. He does a couple lines about like Fauci and
that's the last one. L595.
Maybe it's L595.
Rap Anthony Fauci.
But I mean, it's the sort of thing where I'm probably not going to come back to this often. I thought some of Virgil Abloh's spoken word pieces were interesting. A bit galaxy brain for me, but interesting.
Yeah, that's what it is. These are your Air Mods, your Air Aubreys, if you will. And it's like, okay, guy. Like, and the whole thing, like, I think, track 1, technically, Homemade, is just like a minute and a half of a Virgil speech he previously gave. It's, I guess, some talk about fashion or whatever, right? And it's just fake deep nonsense, which is kind of funny because Lupe has been prone to that as well over time.
Sure.
So I didn't mind it. It's just kind of weird. It's like, wow, I never really heard Virgil speak. I never heard like any deep speeches from him before, and I guess this is a comeback for him in hip hop after he butchered the original Pop Smoke posthumous album cover. So whatever. I did think the second
Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, which Virgil is also on. Yeah. Again, like Lupe's just kind of freewheeling, and you have Kalen Ellis is the producer on all this. He's a Florida producer, and I thought none of these beats are like, I think will wow you, but they're kind of just smooth, more or less understated beats, and they just let Lupe do his thing.
Yeah, I mean it's a solid 20 minutes. I mean it'll at least hold your interest, I'll say. And I also gotta say, I think Lupe has one of the best like rap voices. It's so distinct, so clear. I just feel like it really is a solid and memorable vocal uh, every time he comes through. So I don't think any of the songs here really make the best of 2020 list, but check that out. Nostalgia Best of 2020 on Spotify.